Hey, y'all, and welcome to Roundtable Talk with Tay and May.
Where we aspire to show you no matter what you look like,
Whether you're rocking jeans and Jordans or pearls and heels,
no matter what you've done or what you may still be struggling with,
addiction, promiscuity, drinking, depression, whatever, there is a seat in the kingdom for you. So come on in. We invite you to have a seat at the table as we do real talk, kingdom style. Hey, y'all, and welcome to Roundtable Talk with Tay and May. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Roundtable Talk with Tay.
and May, hey y'all, how's everybody doing?
Yes. So, y'all, we are, we're always excited to come before you, but, extra excited to come before you tonight. So, if you were lucky enough to catch last show, y'all know that we did an amazing show where we had a panel of three gentlemen, and the show title was called Men Matter. And we felt led to do a part two, y'all, because that thing was fire. So we have the men back here again for part two. We're actually going to be joined by some other gentlemen. So tonight's about to be fire. Like we already saw what God did last time, so we just know He's about to exceed what we saw 2 Fridays ago. So, sis, how has your 2 weeks been? And it never feels like 2 weeks, and that's funny. It never feels quite like 2 weeks.
I think the past 2 weeks flew by so quick because I had so much that was going on, but it was all so blessed and so good. I just think that at that point, I think that we need to brag about God. I think we needed to do that because that's how my last 2 weeks was. Hitting with our segment.
Yes, indeed. So, if this is not your first time tuning in, like she said, you know that we jump off with the segment called "Brag About God," and so we're about to we before we jump into that thing, we
Wait
hit
a
y'all with
second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, yeah, he be showing off. Yeah, I promise he never took a loss. If I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all. Wait a second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, I ain't just telling y'all. You can count it, he never took a loss. And if I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all.
So, sis, you go ahead and go first, cause you seem excited to let us know what God done did.
Oh, what God did. So, y'all, I was able to go to an amazing event last weekend at my church. They do it every year annually. It's called the Women's Flourish Conference. So, during this event, I got to tell part of my testimony. So, when I was 16 years old, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. And at that point, back then, you're thinking that it's the biggest mistake in your life, which actually turned into be one of my greatest testimonies. One of my greatest blessings was having my daughter because it helped mold me into the person who I am today. And I was able to touch a lot of the women who were there who may not have known that about me, and they may have been facing the same struggle in their life, or they may know somebody who's facing that same struggle. So I was able to speak on that, and it was truly a blessing. And just seeing God work in all of the women who were there, I was honored for being part of that testimony, being able to speak on it. So I just thank God for bringing me to the point in my life where I'm able to use that as a testimony instead of looking at it as part of being a failure. And I want to brag about God in that aspect. How about you, sis?
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful brag about God. So I have a couple, but two I want to highlight. So some of you may remember me sharing back in July. On my birthday, me and my children were involved in an automobile accident, and so we were on vacation in Atlanta, Georgia. The reason we even were in Atlanta, Georgia, is because I had brought tickets to this event that I was looking so forward to going to. Right. So anyway, wake up, car accident happens. I never get to even see the event. Okay. This was 3 months ago. I ended up at that time, and the tickets were non-refundable. Right. So I'm in this accident. I'm out of work for 2 months, right? And I'm like, yo, I done spent my money on this event. Can't get my money back, but let me just see, right? So at that time, I reached out to the host, never heard anything back. After a couple weeks, I'm like, all right, cool, chalk it up, whatever. Y'all, 3+ months later, like randomly last week, I get an inbox of her saying, like, I'm just now seeing this. So sorry about what happened. Pretty much, I'm about to send you your refund. And so that's a testimony to all of us, right? Just when you think, right, that thing is not going to happen, just forget about it. Listen, God always shows up at just the right time. Because when I say that was just in time, that was just in time. Then another thing regarding the accident. So we were hit by someone who ran a red light. Not my fault at all. Um, in the beginning, they were the rental company was like, you're not gonna have to worry about it. It's all taken care of. Couple weeks ago, May, I get an email saying, pretty much we're about to get this money from your insurance, and whatever they don't cover out of this $18,000+ we're gonna charge this credit card that we got on file. So I immediately like, what? Um, so I had my sister start praying for me. Long story short, again, last week I got an email pretty much saying like it's closed, you owe nothing. So those are my two brag about guys because he really showed up. Because even though I knew that I shouldn't have been responsible in any way, shape, or form financially for what happened, that was a small part of me. Like God, like I know I deserve favor. I know what should happen, but when you see things in writing, it's like, what's really about to happen? So just thankful for God's faithfulness in all things. So yes, right on time. Absolutely. Hello, y'all. Hello. Good evening. Sorry
Good
we can't
evening.
just as Facebook music. I know how Facebook be acting. Hello, Renee. Hey, 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 sis.
The first one
Yes.
is Pamela. Welcome, Pamela White. That's who that
Oh, hi.
was.
Hello, hello. That's yes, church family, church family. So, without further ado, y'all, we are about to bring our wonderful guest in. Hello, hello, gentlemen. Look, welcome back to our trailblazers. Okay, they had this thing on fire 2 weeks ago. They was talking about y'all. They was talking about y'all. I had no, for real. I had coworkers coming up to me. We was getting messages. They really enjoyed y'all. So we have a new face. Hello, Dennis. And just for the sake of those who are tuning in for the first time, we're gonna just if you guys could just go around and introduce yourselves.
I'm the best.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rashad Brockington. Also, Rashad B.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dennis Rivers.
And I'm Christian Johnson. Excited to be with y'all one more time.
Yes, yes, yes. Part two, y'all. Part two. So we're gonna start this thing off with Mr. D Vest. You gonna get this thing flowing for us. So take it away.
Okay, so I had some topics that I wrote down, and it was about, since the topic mainly is about men matter, um, about the man, and respect, um, the respect that he needs to uh earn, deserves to get to give his woman, um, people, and him as the head of the household family, taking that back, his seat, his place, and also with dealing with support when struggling and when making change, um, like for the better, that kind of support. Um, which brought me to thinking about the book of Job and how Job's faith was tested. Um, all that Job had, he was stripped of by the devil. He was tested, right? And the Lord allowed the devil to test him, but not touch him personally, right? Um, so he was stripped down to pretty much everything. And his close friends question, um, why do you stay so faithful to the Lord? Um, and why don't you turn your back on him, so to speak? His wife, the same. Um, in the end, when he had nothing, and um, he's still praying to God, looking to God, but he was still frustrated. Who wouldn't be? But God saw Job, his heart, and he blessed Job and then some in the end. I think that's so important because everybody and anybody, even till this day, is going to get tested this very same way in today's world. We're going to have days when problems upon problems upon problems will come our way. That's life. And it seems like, when is it going to end? Us as men, when we're looked at as providers, supporters, to be there, as the stronghold, and for ourselves too. We have a place that we have to stand strong. So we have to keep it together, but above all is the Lord. And if we're not walking with the Lord and allowing him to have his rightful place in our lives, everything is just going to come crashing down, and not go right, because I can't take matters into my own hands and make things right. That's when things keep getting worse. So that's when I am tested the most to get my attention, when the Lord is like, I didn't go astray. I've been here. When you call on me, you'll see that I'm still here and never left you. And I got to keep that in mind, that when things start to come together, um, to not go back astray. That's the gratitude. When I call on his name and I receive that help, I gotta continue to keep him in the forefront of my life, all my relationships. That's where everything will come together, um, as my rightful place as head, and that respect that I deserve and need to earn comes into place. And I'm gonna just stop there because I want to hear from others as well.
Well, D Best, when you bring up Job, what it was making me think of was how bad things do happen to good people. But we also have to remember that
Absolutely.
God's with us the entire
Hmm.
time. So no matter what storm
Hmm.
we're going through, no matter what we're facing, we just have to keep on calling on God no matter what for him to get us through those storms and those trials that we're facing.
Um, I wanna touch on that also, Dennis. With Job, behind piggyback behind you and May. What I get from that, I want to give to the people that's watching. The young males, older males. Even some women. All the women. You're gonna be tested. Anybody can say I believe, but God gonna test you to the end. He want to see what's in that heart. He want to see you like in that soul. So you're gonna be tested. Like you know what I mean. And test like I've been tested. I can speak on me, but with my trials, I've been tested. It been times like, and I'm like, yo, like you really like got me right here. Like everything happened for a reason. He don't make no mistakes. He put you where you're supposed to be at. You know what I mean? On time, everything. When you working with him, everything on perfect. He the only perfect, creator that's out here. Because we create like we had kids. You know what I mean? But he's the perfect creator. Like no mistakes. And they said something speaking about how they weekend, I mean, they 2 weeks was, and I could say like he worked. When you involve him in it, and you got him fully. Like, look, I'm riding with God. This way it's at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Muslim, so even though I don't always gotta say Allah, because we know God is God, is only one. You know what I mean? It's only one. I don't get into debate, and then it's only one. And I said the last time on here, we believe in every book. Christian, every book, Jewish, every book. But anyway, yeah, about that faith, because he's gonna test you, take things away to see, like, because the enemy always saying they not worthy, mankind not worthy, because what makes us his favorite, his best creation, we have free will, but we still come, we still go to him, we still turn to him. The animals, they just they out here, but as far as I mean, mankind, like we think we when we still turn to him. So yeah, like that faith, I want to like being tested. That's what I wanted to touch on.
Mm.
We might as well let Dennis represent. I yield to all the giants. So go ahead.
You said you yielding to the Giants.
Yes, sir.
Because I know the subject matter tonight, that men's matter. I want to stick to that. And although we talked about Job and Job being tried by the enemy or being tried by the devil, lost everything that he had, and by men mattering, Job's wife doesn't seem like she was much of a support to tell him to curse your God and die. From
Mm.
the men matter. When you have a significant other, when you have a spouse, We are the man, we are the head. But at those times that we're down and out, we need support. I understand
Absolutely.
testing. Paul said that I'm perplexed, but I'm not broken. I'm not giving out. One thing about God is that God will test us. God will leave us in the test until we learn what he's trying to teach us in the test.
Hmm.
But while we're
Hmm.
in the test, we still need some support. We're strong, we're the man, but we still need to know that we got somebody rooting for us to come through the test.
Hmm. 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 Jate, what did you say earlier?
About his wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
so first of all, thank you, Dennis, no, D-Bass, for jumping us off, and great follow-up, guys. But absolutely, Dennis, absolutely. We talked about that when we had our little powwow before the show. But
Oh, time out, time out, time out. Let's address that real quick. Let's address that real quick. These pre-show powwows that not all of us is privy to.
Right.
Let's address that one real quick. I mean, I don't know Rashai and Dennis if we was included in the pre-show
Right.
the pre-show breakdown. No, all right, I quit. All right, I'll be hate.
no, listen, bro, and I'm for real. No cap, no cap. I promise
No,
you, right?
no.
I be trying to respect because you got a lot going on. So I'm gonna be honest, right? Even to ask you to do part two, I was like, he already blessed us and slid through the first time. So you see at the end of the meeting when you said it, I'm like, oh well, now that you mention it, so I promise you, I'll be wanting you there, but I'm like already. But listen, next time you're there. It's already done. It's
We already
already done.
spoke of part 3. You hear that? That's
But
part 3.
that's where the gems is. It seemed like that's where like the real downloads be happening. You know what I mean? D-Best was like, Jate, what we say about I just felt a little left out. That's it.
I mean,
But
on the before show, but I thank God for D-Best starting out with what he started out with, because that made me comfortable. When he went to Joe, said, "All right, I'm all right tonight."
look, God, look, God know how to orchestrate this thing. Listen. But absolutely, then one of the things we talked about: be careful and very mindful of who you marry. Cause oh, I love him, I love her. Let's get married. No, you better know who that inside every aspect of them. Who are you marrying? Like you said, because even down to when you're going through something, how is this person going to be when I'm going through? Because sometimes a person can make those times, which is what it's supposed to be, whether any relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage, a romantic relationship, whatever the case may be, we should be supporting one another, not making it even the more harder. Or, we know words have life.
Right.
So if I'm already in a low place, I don't need you like, yes, girl, it's over. Oh, it's done. I'm already thinking I'm over and done. I don't need you to co-sign it. What I need is somebody that's going to speak life over me when I can't speak it over myself, and to speak life into the situation when I see everything looking dead. I need somebody to speak what I can't. So Dennis, that's very true. Like, imagine, and going back to what D Best said, that head, that leadership, right? One, the most thing I got out of it was a man has to be allowing God to lead him, allowing God to be the head over him so that he can be the proper head. So that when things are happening, when life is getting real, he knows where to go. And that's the thing. Like, I need my husband, not just for the sake of, oh, we both Christian. Oh, yay, look at this. Like, no, I need my husband to know where to go. In any situation, I need him to know where to go so he knows where to take us. Because if he don't know where to go, he don't know where to take us. Now we all in trouble. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
all in trouble. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
that matters. And then
Mm-hmm.
so and then what you were saying, so allowing God to lead you and be the head. And you have to be a strong man. Because if you are the type of man that don't know how to lead in the head, and um women, that's why it's important to be submissive and respecting your husband as the head. But what is she going to what is she going to be in your ear? And so Job was had enough to know, strong enough to know, in God and in his manhood, he didn't let the whispers of that woman curse God and just die. Like no. But imagine had he did. Imagine if he'd have listened to that woman, right, who was his wife. What then what now we talking about, like you said, Job lost it all. Thank God he gave him double for his trouble. But imagine what could have happened had he given in and turned from God. It would have been so much worse. Christian, you're not about to you, look, thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. With that said, I'll behave and I'll participate. I had a couple things hit my mind. Okay, but just I want to throw some things out there because y'all know I'll have a different perspective on it. But just sit with it, brothers. Let's sit with this. All right. So we said Job is tested. That's what I heard everybody say, right? So my question is like, was he tested or was he considered? And stay with me for a second. Just my perspective of a test, as in like I'm putting you up as a test of a pass or fail. We already know, those who don't know the story, an area that he's considered blameless by God. So it's not an area of that. So, but the language I see from the passage that I read, the translation I read it, he's like, "Have you considered my servant Job?" And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I think it hits me as a perspective of like, no matter like what that storm situation and stuff to kind of be, is like when you've been qualified at that place where God views you as, I can put you out on the field, I can throw this there, like you can handle this. Like, can I consider you to be a representation of the kingdom here manifested on earth? And so no matter what that battle is, it's a different mindset. The area of temptation and stuff that we go through, that stuff that hits us. So if we're talking about men matter, like, could we jump on for a second, like the mindset of manhood? Like the mindset of manhood that has to take place from the narrative, the phenomenon pertaining to the area of Job. Like, there's wealth is there. That's not his problem in the text, right? Marriage, there,
Right.
got it. All that stuff. Until an area where there's allowance of an adversarial mindset, I'll still with that, to go ahead and impose on his greatness. And I think that's the thing that we've dealt with. Like, we have a higher mind to choose higher thoughts, higher precepts, higher perception. Even when the wife comes close, like, look, this curse him and die. Like, get this thing over. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. There's a mindset that says, no matter what I'm going through at this place, I recognize who I am, I recognize what I have, and how I need to represent that here in the earth realm. And to me, that hits me at a different area too. Even when y'all talk about man being the head, I tell this when we counsel and coach with my wife, she's watching right now. I tell people there's a difference between headship and leadership.
All right.
Headship, I'm head because that's just what God said. That don't mean I'm the best. Because to be honest with you, my wife Lanisha can outlead me in a lot of situations and things, right? And the other area too is so there's areas of leadership in relationship that I don't think is just man, has to be just woman per se, because the Spirit of God releases and assigns those gifts according. So just because I'm the man, but I ain't good with the finances, bruh, that ain't the area wise. But I might have that final say, that heart posture to sit with that. So for us in our household, it's a blessing for me to get that wisdom from Lanisha. It's that
That's
wisdom
right.
to get that, to take it to the table, to be like, hold on, it's not good for man to be alone. So I'm gonna give him a helpmate to walk not beneath him, side by side, so they can move forward and conquer this. So we can have back-to-back combat, so that it can go above and beyond. So she got my back, I got her back, and we can just tag team this from a different level. So I
Right.
just want to hit that mindset. Like submission for
Right.
me, when you think about like something that you submit to the Lord, it's not area for me. It's just like an area of rulership and lordship, and you're controlling. That's not what I see as that area. Submission pertaining to that, even submitting your thoughts to God, like that area of being able to release what it is that you have and release it to somebody else, and the God in me and the God in you agree, and we can come and do just some crazy things to manifest the kingdom here on earth. Just my little perspective. That's it. Can I pull off of it now?
Listen,
Miss May, you were talking about being equally yoked.
Yes, I sure was, and that's what it made me think of when he was just talking about that. Because we have to
Oh,
be.
Absolutely.
this another
You
one.
have to
This
be.
another part that I missed.
Yes, it is. Sorry.
come on, Dennis, you have to start wording your questions differently. Like,
What was it about the equally yoked? Can y'all bring us? Can Miss May? Can you share what you were sharing, please?
He was
Can
basically
you
just
share,
talking
Miss May?
about, we were basically talking about in relationships with the man being the head of household. So we were talking about Ephesians 5, where we were saying, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and himself is Savior. So we were just saying that the man and the woman, like when you're on two separate paths, we have a friend who we were speaking in general of, and how she's been trying to get her husband to get to the level of faith where she's at. And that's a hard battle to face, because if his heart's not there, it's a choice of his. So they're not equal right there. But him being the head of house, as in the word, that's not equal. So we were just speaking on that, and that's how it came up.
What verse did y'all start with? Ephesians 5, what? 20?
Ephesians 5, we were in 22 through 24.
Go to 21.
Let's see.
and to comment on what Christian said, what he pretty much said was, again, it makes me think about who are you marrying? So not just love, and not just, but pretty much what he said, he and his wife complement one another. Like, if you I personally know them, and they do. Like, to watch these two is literally amazing. And I'm not just saying it, like, it's amazing. You can they just fit. I'm telling you, they just fit in every aspect, in every sense of the word. And so even when you were talking about that submission thing, pretty much what it is, like you said, pretty much is like you said, even when we go to God, like, yeah, God, I have this free will, but I respect your opinion. So I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you, and I'm pinning you in this thing, because that's that submission part. You know what I mean? Even with a wife, like, because we're supposed, wife's supposed to be submissive and whatever. But at the end of the day, we can all do whatever we want. But when a wife is going to her husband and discussing, Amazon purchases, that's a small thing, come on, backstage, okay? Like, don't. I shouldn't have started there. But yeah, those things, just to whatever, some just small things, like, I was thinking about cooking this tonight, but baby, what you think? Just things like that. That's like, listen, we in this together. And we're doing life together. And that's the cool thing about it. And a lot of women having excuse me, nope. A lot of people, because I ain't want to say that, a lot of people have an issue with the word submission, right? Because it's been misinterpreted, it's been misused, right? So and a lot of us, I'm gonna be just a lot of us, the issue is you've been submitting or trying to submit to the wrong person. And anything in the wrong dynamic is not going to be what it's supposed to be. Submission is not a bad thing. Submission is a wonderful thing. And guess what? When you get equally yoked with an amazing man of God, baby, you're going to want to submit. You are going to want to submit. And so that fear and that attitude and, whatever, that only comes in, do you trust who you've married? The man that you agreed to submit to. So again, that's why. Who are you tying this knot with? And not just in, figuratively speaking, but literally, who are you becoming one with? So like May said, that's why it's so important to be equally yoked and not just in religion. Y'all might have different views on finances. Y'all might have different views on how you want to raise your kids. Those are important things. And I think a lot of times we overlook those things, and that's where, the issues come in. So
Wow, heavy. Going back to what Christian said though, in Ephesians 5:21, it says submitting to one another out of reverence for Christ. I'm gonna drop down and it says, for the husband is head of the house, head of the wife, even as Christ is head of the church, his body, and is himself its savior.
Stay there. Stay there. Stay there, D. Stay there, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Because that truth, this is the thing that cracks me up, because with that area, when I read it that way, if it's an area of submission and being headship, that means that my leadership, my headship is really a servant leadership.
Yeah.
Because scripturally, if y'all going text wise, we ain't got to stay there. We can tweak whatever. But if y'all going scripturally, it's a servant leadership. It shows that Jesus gave his life up for the church. So it's a serving leadership. It wasn't a lording leadership. It says the washer and the cleansing of the word, which means that my area of my leadership, my area is to make sure that my wife, Lanisha Johnson, is able to be covered, washed, released to be who God has called her to be. That's my first ministry. So the area, come home, yo, baby, is my food cooked? Yo, baby, like that's some other stuff right there. The area of what did God design you to be? And how can I cooperate with you for you to be the most beautiful woman that God has called and designed you to be, and trusted me in the area to help lead and blossom you to be the most beautifulest thing in the earth realm? That's for me, from my perspective and my conviction, that's where it's at. Or else, and look, bros, y'all do that? I'm just saying.
Put him on.
Married brothers.
That's like the same thing. I'm listening. That's like the same thing, with in a religion, we say any man that teach, a woman, like, the religion, how to come over, and worship her Lord, submit, and also like with all that is falls in line as far as with being that wife, the mom, nurturing the children. But yeah, with that submission part, like I believe, like, it go both ways, because what we say, the wife had rights over the husband, like the husband had rights over the wife. You know what I mean? It go vice versa. There's the scale is not unbalanced. Like, you know what I mean? And I like that, what you were touching on, Christian, like, cause same way with me and my wife, she lead in certain things that I'm not good at. You know what I mean? And we don't challenge each other. That's, I believe, with the men matter to me, like getting on that route, we don't challenge each other at all. We don't challenge each other. I don't try to challenge her. She don't challenge me. We comfortable. We know. You know what I mean? And I like how when she was speaking on, she like how you and your wife is. So I'm listening, and you went straight to the book. No. And I don't even have my book, because it's like, that's one thing when you give like knowledge, literature, you're supposed to go right where it's at. You don't just tell anything. You know what I mean? They show me proof, and you just went and showed proof. I like that. But yeah, I'm just listening and I'm rolling with that. But yeah, that's one thing that's major. But when you with someone, and far as with men, I feel though enough because y'all went in that room and they was touching on something about music. I feel like we get kicked down when like I don't need y'all. But when a man feel that comfort, he know like I'm needed there, and the woman, let him know like I need you. He would the performance that will come from him, that knowing that he's needed, you know what I mean? He's wanted, you know what I mean? Wanted around and needed around. Oh, the man will, and with God involved, oh man, sky's the limit, you know.
In case y'all haven't caught on, we are speaking of kingdom marriages here, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you're hearing. Kingdom marriages, okay? Kingdom marriages, okay? Release them, Lord, in Jesus' name, okay? But Christian, we have a question for you.
Oh man.
Can you see that it says I have a question of something the elder said? Does God consider and we think it's testing?
Well, I mean, it depends on that perspective. I'm not going to give an absolute, right? Because it's a part of the story when he talked about Job's friends, right? And they was diagnosing the whole situation. You know what I mean? So I don't want to diagnose the situation. Be like, this what you should do. This what you should do. But I think I'm huge as the area of the perspective, right? And so I think that's why having that true relationship with God, like what really is this? What's my perspective on this, right? And so yeah, it could be an area of a test. It could be an area of even what we're talking about pretending being considered. But the thing, if it is, let's just go with the area where if it is a test. The thing I do love about it is, I don't know about y'all, but I had certain teachers when I was in grade school where they would let me do redos. Like I could take it over. And I don't know about y'all, but in my life, I felt like if there's been areas in my life where it's been rough or I failed, so to speak, I've gotten the opportunity to do those redos over, over and over and over and over and over again, pertaining to that level. But to answer the question, I do believe that can fall either way from my perspective.
And I think perspective is everything. I can't remember.
I just want to touch on I want to touch on something. So it's most important for a man to first get honest with self, and look into God, for everything else to start working. Um, that because like it's about relationships, the relationship with the Lord, the relationship with myself, the relationship outside of myself. It's all about honesty. I can't carry on a facade. I can't be like somebody else. I gotta ask God to work in my life. What does he have for me? The purpose that he needs me to carry out for him, so that I can be of service as a servant in these relationships of all kinds, associates, friendships, companionships, down to the marriage, the transparency, the trust. That's of value. That's very important. And going back to the marriage, coming into the home, closing the door to the outside world, that's the sanctuary. When I can talk to my significant other, my wife, Like the world tends to beat us down and treat us however, but this is where that love, unconditional, comes from. From me to her, from her to me, and our children, our home. This is different than what's going on outside of our home, the structure. If I gotta be stern, it's still love. It might be tough love, but it's a love. It's some things that I'm trying to instill in our home as a man, as a father. The disciplinary. Um, you know, that's some points I just wanted to make real fast.
We have a comment from Christian's wife. She said, "A man goes where he is honored."
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
That's
You
right,
know,
baby.
told you. But
But the funny,
absolutely, and reading Lanisha, listening to what you said, and then reading Lanisha's comment, it made me think about the strawberry experiment that you did. Seriously, and I don't know why that popped in my head. But so you can explain it better than I can. But that was an amazing example, and it kind of goes with even what Dennis said. You gotta speak life over your spouse. You know what I mean? Because okay, so even first we have to know who we are in God, right? No matter what is spoken over us, right? Rashad, we touched on that last time, but I remember you very specifically like, listen, I know who I am. So that's why today can't nobody speak anything over Rashad, even when I make a mistake, whether it be past or now, because I now know who I am and I'm confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I stand on and that's what I operate in. But even down to what are you speaking over your spouse? How are you speaking to them? Dennis, you said something about closing the door and pretty much what are you speaking about them out there? You know what I mean? Like that's
Mm,
important. That
mm,
is very important. Watch your
mm,
words, even when things are
mm-hmm,
not. So to speak, because
mm-hmm,
let's be real, you're going to encounter things, right? But for one, you got to know where to go. And knowing, yo, this thing is not about me and me against you. Like, no.
Right,
This
right,
is
mm,
about us
mm,
right.
recognizing, right, what's going on and fighting together. Fighting together because
absolutely.
we're a team. Ain't nobody imagine, right? Imagine football and they tackling each other. How are we gonna win when we tackling each other like duh? We're setting ourselves up to lose.
Right, right.
You know. So knowing that, like, listen, even I never forget this guy, and I can't think of his name. And showing up even when you don't feel like it, right? He said, you hear that thing 50-50. He said, no, it's got to be 100-100. He said, and I'm gonna be
Right.
honest. He said, there's days when my wife, she might got an attitude. So now she, any other day I get breakfast. Now she want to slam cereal down just out of spite, right? And he said, at first I would give it to the pettiness. He said, so you ain't, so now I'm not. He said, and one day God spoke to him and said, you know what? You show up. You show up anyway. And Christian, that pretty much, that's that servant heart. That's that servant heart. Not what is he giving me, not what is she giving me, but I'm going to still do my part and I'm going to serve you irregardless. And he said it wasn't easy. He said, but y'all, on the days when my wife wasn't showing up, he said, I still showed up and I gave it 100%. He said, and you know what? He said, it never failed. She always got back on the wagon. He said, she always got back on the wagon. Never, he said, without failing. Without failing. So that right there, that says something. So to be married, it has nothing to do with feelings. I never forget our wonderful pastor, shout out to Pastor Hunt. He said, he was like, everybody think love's a feeling. He said, love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. He
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
said, He shared how, a lot of people, he had people come to him counseling, well, we want a divorce because we fell out of love. He said, well, fall back in love.
Right.
He said, it's a choice. I never forget another pastor I heard. He said, every day, he said, and I'm a pastor. He said, but I learned every day. He said, I wake up and I get on my knees. And he said, I forget what his wife's name. He said, but I asked God, help me to love Carol today. He said, because I know if I don't ask God to help me to love her, I can't do it. I can't. So that right there, knowing where your help comes from and knowing where to tap in, so.
I want to say something.
Please.
I like the closed door that D-Best talked about. You get everybody in, it's going to be hard to get everybody out. You can't talk about your partner in the street and think you can come home and love them like you hadn't talked about them.
Whoa.
The street with them and let everybody else look at them like you done talked about them, and then give them another picture like you didn't talk about it. That's one thing. But let's jump back to submission. We have to understand that the Bible was first translated, I said Greek, but then Greek was translated to English. So we have to go back to the Greek definition of submission. And the Greek definition of submission was to get up under, to uplift, and to put in order. So it's really saying that when we submit, we deploy ourselves to willfully uphold and to support our spouse or significant other. Submission was not what the world translated as being obedient. Submission is not obedience according to Greek. It means that we are deploying ourselves to service to our partner. Christian said earlier that Jesus was not in a lordship, he was in a service ship. When you submit to your partner, when you submit to your spouse, you submit to them to give them service, to support them, to undergird them, to lift them, not for you to do what I tell you to do, not for you better do that. But when I submit to you, I submit to be your foundation, to be your undergirding, to be your support.
That's so true. Being that helpmate that Christian was talking about. That's what you need to be. That's the number one thing to do.
Hey.
Right. Right.
Real quick, something, comment on something else that D-Best said, about being transparent and being able to trust your partner, right? With everything, right?
Yes.
Christian and Lanisha have a book. Am I correct? Is it Naked? Is that the book, Christian? No. What's the book?
Take it off.
Huh?
Take it off.
Okay, take it off. Take it off. Take it off. Right.
I have that.
That
book.
talks
That's
about
your
just
book.
that talks about just that. You have to make sure that you are marrying somebody you feel comfortable with, being who you've never been, so to speak, with nobody else in this world. Not your mother, your father, your children. And if you are not at a place, and not saying that it's easy, okay, but that's a very important thing to consider. Am I willing to take it off with this person? Everything. Everything. Let them know everything about me. Good, bad, and indifferent. Because guess what? If that's your right, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid. Christian, when I was speaking of you, it popped in my head. Safe place. You sound like you have created a safe place for Lanisha. You were talking about unfolding, supporting her, and so that she can be the best, beautiful her. I saw safe place. That's what we want. That's what marriage is. A safe place. A safe place.
Yeah.
The safest place we can go to after God should be our spouses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody's asking for that link. Babe, you're there. If you can find that link, that would be amazing. If you can put that there for them. I've seen somebody asking for it. Babe, talking to anybody, I'm talking to my wife who is in the comment section. Let's get that clarity out there. All right. So but I love what you guys are saying, and I don't want to take any the area of the attention pertaining to that. But what I'll say is, Lanisha would admit that when we started dating, or what we call courting, if I had a
Yeah.
PhD, it would be in Lanishaology, because like I wanted to know when the girl turned her head to the left or took a deep breath, your boy was like, "What's that about?" But like I studied her. Like
Right.
Yo,
I studied her.
and
Go
hey,
ahead, go
Christian,
ahead, Rashad. Go ahead,
yo, that's,
brother. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I like what you saying. My wife came in and walked out. I used to tell her that. Like, she like, well, I study you. I never studied nobody like that. I study you. The told like, yo, I swear. And I'm like, I study you. And she like, what you mean? I'm like, I know when you doing that. I know when I could just look at her like, what's wrong? Or even what you're excited about, like, and that partnership I'm talking about. Like, is unreal. Like, some to some people, like, what's really going on? No, we really happy. Like, you know what I mean? And it don't need items or none of that. You know what I mean? We got God for one, and then us. You know what I mean? My best friend. I used to be secretive. I tell her everything. You know what I mean? Somebody said one day, one of my cousins, she was like, "You tell him too much," and I'm like, "What? Like, what you mean? Like, no, that you interfering in this. Ain't no too much." You know what I mean? Either everything or nothing. That's like what you putting in, all or nothing, right? Either everything or nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ain't gonna cut you off, Kristen. I like that.
Good.
Like, you know what you were saying, bro.
Bro,
Like that studied her.
anytime you got something to say, bro, I'm going to listen to
No,
you,
I
man. You got some
apologize.
good.
No, I ain't,
You good?
no, go ahead. You finish. I'm
No,
so sorry. Go ahead. You just
no,
caught me with
because
that.
but you guys was like the area of so courting. So anyway, like I studied her. So when I say like, and this is not by just me, like we have a whole team pertaining to that. Like we believe in therapists, we believe in coaching, we believe in
Mhm.
having all that stuff. So it's a team. So hear what I'm saying. When I say like Lanisha is a free woman, when you see Lanisha, like she's a free, she's that woman free. Like she can operate in the earth realm is however God leads her to. And I am her number one cheerleader, however y'all want to view that. Like
Right.
I'm holding the signs, I'm holding whatever needs to be, because I recognize the power pertaining to that. So this is another thing, because I know that ain't necessarily, well, these brothers, y'all get it, but some people that they don't see it from that perspective. So I'm not judging it. But y'all talked about transparency. So we coach something called hot communication, which is honest, open, and transparent. And what goes
Yeah.
back to the title of the book being Take It Off, that came from the passage, I think it's Genesis 2. Y'all let me know, Genesis or whatever. But it's an area where it says they were both naked and unashamed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the area where, even the area, I want to bring it back to men. Sometimes it's not easy to be naked and unashamed. I ain't talking about physically. Brothers ain't got no problem with that one, right? But far
No.
as the emotional,
Mm-hmm.
far as the spiritual, like that area of nakedness, like it takes some time. And so that's a unique picture of intimacy, okay? Because
Yeah.
intimacy is not just sexually. I hope the kids is somewhere else, all right? That intimacy is there's intellectual intimacy, there's emotional intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
there's variations of them, and we want to have all those to have the area of healthy communication. As a matter of fact, my wife would say that the attractiveness, the relational sexual intimacy starts way outside of the bedroom. It starts in the area of the connection. So if we can, like you guys were talking about, area of a manhood and feeling safe and celebrated, because scripture talks about, that he inhabits the praises of his people. And so if we're made in the image and likeness of God, then we want to be where praise is. And so if
Mm-hmm.
there's praise in the home, they want to be there. So just putting that out there. If your man or your husband don't want to be home, we might need to do some digging around with that area, because if it's celebration there, if it's peace, listen, y'all, I'm gonna get with y'all, but I need to go ahead and get home, because there's a different mindset that goes from that perspective. And so I would encourage us, and ladies too, to provide that safe area as well. If a dude start opening his mouth and being transparent and real, it ain't time to throw no jabs at my dude. Like, it
Right,
takes
right.
a lot for a bro to be like, listen, let me share my feelings. I share my thoughts, but let me share my feelings. Like, you got to cherish that with a different level of care and handle that particular situation, because bro can build that wall back up and he like, I'll never do it again. So
Yo,
let's be
yep.
mindful on that side, if that makes sense. Ouch or amen. Y'all put that in the comment section.
And look at the
Amen.
comment
It's
on
definitely an amen. That comment section is blowing up.
look at the comment on the screen, y'all. So you heard what Christian just said. His wife typed that like 10 minutes ago. He said, just like God, he inhabits the praises of his people.
Mm.
But yeah, these comments are definitely.
Just
Um,
Christian was
go
saying
ahead. Go ahead.
different levels of intimacy. Um, I'm gonna be transparent with everybody, with the world, whoever's watching. I'm just recently learning that a woman wanted a man to be intimate with her intellectually before she wants you to be intimate with her bodily. You know,
Absolutely.
we think we know it all. And listen, I'm not the expert in relationship. I ain't even finna betray that for y'all. But I know how to love somebody. But now, relationship wise, That thing can come many different ways. And we can be attractive to the woman not just because of how she look, but because some things that she say or she do that we're not used to. But then
Mm-hmm.
go somewhere else, and we forget we need to make them attracted to us the same way we were attracted to them. We forget sometimes as men. So women, don't be so hard on us and say, hey, let me slow you down. Let me help you understand something. Before we trying to do this other thing, let's see, can we get this thing together first? And it will make you upset until you really see where they're coming from. I'm just being Dennis, not the preacher that night. I'm Dennis.
Right. Something I told my wife, like, we before we even got married, like, we was prepping or whatever. I said I'm always going to be willing to work. I'm never going to get to the comfortable, spot. And I tell her I pray for this. When I come to her, I didn't already pray for it. God, keep me where as though that I'm always willing to work on this. I don't want to ever be like, oh, I've been doing that. No, oh, there's no room for improvement. I want to always
Yep.
know she comes to me and say, listen, okay, I'm not going to get too where as though big head or cocky, like, well, I'm doing it already. No, you coming for a reason. Okay. And then I know one thing too, men, like, I learned to be a listener. Women want you to listen. You know what I mean? Women listen. And we was somewhere at her grandfather's house, and her aunt and them was saying stuff, and I was like, "Oh yes, you told me about that." She said he listened to you, and she like, "Oh yeah, he do." And me stuttering. I'm stuttering. Her aunt said, "Yeah, he sitting here naming so much, like." But that listening, I had to train myself. I didn't just get like this. I'm 41. It took me a minute to get like this. You know what I mean? Because I wanted it though. I said, oh, where I'm falling short at? Where I'm falling short at? So I sat back, and then when God placed that in my life, I said, oh, this time I'm not gonna screw up now. But yeah, that listening. Yeah,
Can I say something?
yeah. Go ahead, you got it,
Is it Rashad?
Rashad. Yeah,
Rashad, let me tell you something, man. I'm like, here again, I'm being transparent. I know I heard you say earlier that you was a Muslim. Is that right?
yeah.
I mean, I got the most respect for you because you are what you say you are, but you got this feel like I know what I am, but you're not being harsh on nobody else. And I really appreciate you, and you still reverence God.
Oh, thank
Hey,
you, man.
so I
Thank you,
respect
Dennis. Oh, there's mutual love and respect here, bro. Oh, thank you, man.
I want to say something. Also, I think it's also important to it's okay to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Just in opening up that part of transparency. Why not? Like it was said earlier, you either all in or you're not.
Right.
There's I don't have nothing to hide. And that oneness, well, let me open up so that I can show another side of me that um side where I'm letting somebody in, getting to know somebody and letting somebody get to know me, you know? I mean, and I think that's something special in itself. I don't even think that's really a weakness.
No, it's not a weakness because it actually helps part of your communication so that you can grow together. And as far as you growing together, that gets into the part of vulnerability. And like Dennis was saying, having that intellectual conversations with each other, you're flourishing and growing together. So that's a key concept right there. As part is being vulnerable. You need to have that so that you both can know each other.
Yes. And I really like how Christian was saying he studied his wife. You know, the body language. There's love languages. You know, and asking, what does that mean? You know, that's part of listening. That's important because you're learning her. Like she's being observant about you as well. You're learning each other. And she's liking that you're learning her. You know, I'm sure. You know, that's a turn on. You know, it's a beautiful thing in the making.
That's powerful. I can't help but to think about like our young people like right now. Um, you know, young men. Like I said, I got three kings. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, times change so quickly. I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, man, from where my mindset was to where I am to where my kids are to like all that stuff, like it, man, I don't know. It's like them COVID years, like sped everything up like times 10. Like I don't know what we so no. So what I'm saying with that is I'm like, man, like for me, one thing to teach my kids and talk about God, okay, or you got to read this, you got to do that. I'm like, but I want you to experience and see and witness God in those areas. And so it's like teaching them to be transparent, like teaching them to be open. Still, you know, manhood, I believe in masculinity and all that. So I'm saying, but just be authentic of who you are and still be okay to be you.
Yes,
And
sir.
not that I've mastered it. I ain't mastered it. I promise you that. Like I got this area of relationship even with my kids where I'm like, tell them like I never raised teenagers before. Y'all my first go around. So we learning this type of situation together. I'm like, but one of y'all said like learn to listen in the area of marriage. Like listen to grown folk. I'm learning to listen to my kids. Like listen to where they are so that I can help lead them to that next area from where they are. And so I'm like, this is a perfect picture of God, even with us. Like it hit me, y'all. This is what hit me. I can go to God with anything. Anything. It don't matter. Anything. But even looking at that area pertaining to our family, our friends, our children, our spouse, can they come to us about anything? And are we putting that posture out there that makes them okay to come? I'm telling you, like I'm learning in that area, and it hits us for us to be area of generational. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, I think we should be praying, thinking, being around that area. Like if you haven't, like sitting down with the family, sitting down with the kids, sitting down with those you have connection with, just saying like how are you? Like where are you? I don't know, but my kids, they got quick answers. Like I'm good, Dad. We are. I'm like nah. That ain't gonna roll. Sit on down. Like we gotta get there. And I think sometimes we've been such a topical. Like if you out there and you say, "Hey, how you doing?" Naturally, somebody gonna say, "I'm fine," and you keep it moving. But what would happen if we just say, all right, for the rest of this year, like when we really ask the question, how are you? We're prepared to go that next mile, to really see what it is, man to man, man to teen, the son, whatever the case may be, man to woman, to really check on the heart and the mindset of where we are. And I believe that we can build a culture of really uplifting. You see what Dennis did.
from religion to religion, relationship. Whether
Right.
y'all really realize it or not, he ain't gonna say it. I say it. That's the senior pastor sitting there, but pertaining to that level. But it's that place of recognizing and seeing that aspect of it, seeing that look for the area of mindset and manhood and us moving forward. Like, can we build culture? Like back in the day, for me, it took more than one person to pour into a marriage. It took more than one person to raise a kid. It took more than one. It was community. Now, this day and time, somebody better not talk to your kid. Somebody better not do this and do that. So, like, I think we have to get to that area of having people in place around to know, like, whatever you may go through, there's a brother. I might not be an expert. Dennis said I'm not an expert in relationships, but there is an area where he is. He's an excellent entrepreneur. He's an excellent minister. It's some areas where he has that. You brothers, podcasting, teaching, mindset, all that. The ladies, what you have to offer, your prayer, your position is powerful. And I think we have to raise up to identify who we are, but identify what we're not. And then pair somebody with what we're not. And that way they can continue to grow. All right, let me stop.
This is great. I don't absolutely somebody is a village to raise. Rashad, you gonna say you was gonna say something? Go ahead.
No. I was reading the comment that popped up. No, I was reading the comment.
This is great. I do want to touch on something. So you guys, my personal opinion, one of the things that we talked about before the show, I believe Rashad, remember you were saying you had told us how pretty much one of the enemy's biggest goals and the things he gets most excited about is to break up marriages.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And then we're talking about Job, and I was sharing how I had seen this short video, and the guy was going over. He said, "Did you ever notice how pretty much everything that had to do with Job was destroyed, except his wife?" And he was like, "Well, why is that?" And he pointed out something that blew my mind. He said, because the instruction from the Lord was, but you cannot touch Job. And he said the reason why his wife was not harmed, because that was his wife and they were one. And because he cannot touch Job, he cannot touch his wife, because she is a, and that was one of the clearest, most powerful examples of marriage I have ever heard. I was like, wow. And so with what Rashad said, I believe the enemy's one of his biggest things is to destroy and even prevent marriage. Because, if you think about it, like Dennis was saying, the man being the head, and we've used the term leadership and things of that nature. And so if we destroy the head, then what chance does the body have? And so when marriages are being destroyed, or not even, now it's affecting the family. Now, when the house ain't right, guess what? That's going to spill out into the street, into the world. And so it dawned on me how there are a lot, the enemy, excuse me, not, I don't even know if it's just the enemy, but even the industry, the world, however you want to say it, there is so much pulling at men as far as sex, right? So we're all tested, right? All tempted. But there aren't billboards, with body parts and all over the TV trying to entice us women, and, the music, even clothes. How much revealing clothes is there really for men? You know what I mean? But there's just so much that I feel is put out there. Look at this, look at that. And I think it's all to deter men to, like, why one when you can have all of this? Or if he's got that one, hey, you see all of this. And I believe that that's Well, I know that's a trap. I know that's a trap, and I know it's a setup because I even remember seeing it was an athlete, and he was like just talking with a bunch of guys, and he was like, "Man, I'll be trying to do right." He said, "I'll be trying to do right." He said, "It'll be after a game, and they'll be like, oh, I'm going to the club, I'm going to the here," and he was like, "Man, I'm going to my room. I'm going back to my room." He said, "I'm telling y'all, it never fails. I get to the floor where I'm staying, and it's a line full of women." And he's like, how did they even find me?" And so it's crazy how I definitely think that's one of the things that is out there, just plotting it. Just plotting it. And that's why I believe that it's just so vital, obviously, for us all to be connected in God. But so we don't take the bait. But that's one of the struggles. I don't know, struggle is the right word, but one of the things that I believe that is something that we don't really go through, that we really don't go through. And I strongly believe the reason why he does that with men, because it's like, man, if I can get them or I can keep them, or however you want to say it, then everything else is I got it. I got it.
I'm kind of like, should I go there or shouldn't I? I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I say go there. Go there, Christian.
All right. So again, my perspective, but I personally feel like we give the enemy a lot of credit. Okay. And the reason why I say that, and this is no judgment, I'm not saying that warfare isn't real. I'm not saying that bad things don't happen. I'm not saying that it's a lot of the energy. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is this. This is the mindset I started to adopt. Okay. That if God lives in me, if I believe that, if I have God that lives in me, I'm made in the image and likeness. Like, isn't that a place of power and victory? So if I read the end of the book, he's already defeated. So there's a level of mindset of Christ's mindedness that I can rise up to and walk within, that it's not about on that level of the adversarial things. I can rise above that. And I think we kind of see that in the Job picture that D Best put out there. Like, it's not that things ain't happen, but his mindset is on a whole different level than even everybody else that's around. So I think sometimes if we can view some things as like a part of the journey or the course, or recognize that I can rise above that level, then we can truly walk in and have that, what I say, that mind of Christ, and in or even greater, because it says we're supposed to do greater works. So whatever we've seen out there being done, miracles, signs, and wonders, like that's a level and that's dope. But we're supposed to go higher than that. And so my concern is, if we always are at a mindset of we're fighting all the time and getting beat up and doing all that, then that's a lower level of mindset, vibration, and energy that we'll always stay at. But I believe that there is a place, okay? There is a place where you can speak to that situation. You can have a mindset that's victorious over that situation, where you can equip and go above and beyond that situation. And I think that we should be like helping each other to go to that higher minded level where that stuff doesn't affect us or take us out as much due to that. Does that make sense? Am I kind of clear, or I'm trying to tiptoe around with it?
I love what you're saying, because you got to remember too, Kristen, what you're saying is true, but you got to remember levels. Everybody, we are protected because we are aware. You know what I mean? Us sitting here, but for the ones who don't know that journey, they need God to know that you can't defeat the enemy without me. See, we know that.
Yes.
But for those who watching, so they don't think that, I know at the end that, the enemy's defeated, but you got it. Only way to have your journey You know, to seek refuge, you gotta have God. You gotta have Him. See, we know this.
Right.
Us sitting here, you know what I mean? And I get what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying. Don't get that enemy no power. See, we know, and we both giving it to him both right ways. I love what you're saying because that's true.
Yes, sir.
Don't get no power to the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for those who you got to be protected, you listen to a Christian saying we are godly. You know, we're involved. So those that know that chapter, that feel that, you got to be involved. You see, we wouldn't be sitting here without God, right? Like
Right.
we at that level, right? You know, that's why we sitting here. So no, I agree with you on that. You know,
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was funny because Christian, I don't know if you saw, I was like, when I was like the enemy, I was like, because I already knew. I already knew. But you're absolutely right. Like, the enemy only has as much power as we give. Like,
Wow.
and that's just real. That's real. Like, he only has as much power as we allow him to have in any area of our lives. And as Rashai said, it's pretty much just about being aware of the setups. You know what I mean? Being aware of the setups. And like you said, Christian, knowing what's inside of me, like, knowing what's inside of us, tapping it. And somebody even, where's it at? Right here. What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? And that's why for me, I said
Who
it
said
earlier.
that?
Like, that's
I need to know who said that. That's fire.
who said that? It just says Facebook user.
That's from Pamela.
Type it. Oh, okay.
Come on.
Hey,
Come
there you
on,
go.
Pamela.
But absolutely, like, what? This is we gonna close it out. The music thing. What are you consuming? What are you looking at? Right? Stop thinking it's just a song. Stop thinking it's just a movie. Stop thinking it's just a decent beat. Cause the same way, right? When we consume food, right? Like, it's not just consuming what you eat. I like candy. Like, it's either going to drain you or it's going to energize you. I get two different feelings when I eat, you know what I mean, a Hershey with almond, or when I eat some broccoli. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm ready to go to the. So what are you watching? What are you consuming? What are you focusing on? You know what I mean? Because just because the bait is there doesn't mean you got to bite. But like Rashai said, like, that's where you gotta be. And even what you said, and the key to it all is like being connected. Being connected. You know what I mean? So don't fall privy to none of it. And like you said, Chris, everything is not the enemy, because we got some stuff in us too. And that's why my cousin Charles was saying, know thyself. Okay? Because what May can do, I might can't do. You know what I mean? She might can go some places that for me used to be a problem. So Tay, guess what? Know yourself, like Rashai said, within his marriage, but I'm gonna say generally speaking, being humble enough to not think that I'm so far in Christ, right, that I can go flirt with certain things and certain.
mm-hmm.
So it's about wisdom and discernment and staying connected to God. But this is awesome, y'all. It's so awesome.
I want to
Go
say
ahead, go ahead.
something real quick. When when we fast on the month of Ramadan, we say that the enemy is locked away. So any sins that we're committing is on us. Like meaning smoking or something. That's something you need to work on. Like me, speaking of me. Oh, that's you, brother. You gotta check that because the enemy locked down. You can't get it. You can't put it on. You know what I mean? That's something like you said, knowing yourself. So knowing you know what I mean? Like yeah, like I just wanted to say that. Yo, I love this segment with y'all. Like, and Dennis came on. Like, I'm looking for us to do this again. Like, for real, man, for real. Like, God is putting together something. The ladies, yeah, y'all, for real.
Yeah, so everybody, anybody else want to do a closing remark? Go.
Um, Real quick, because when Rashad opened that up, you really made me think of something. I know we got to go, so I'll make this short. Y'all pull my coattail.
No, I'm not rushing. I'm trying to be respectful of y'all time. I are not rush.
I got you. But so this is what I just want to say, because I think it's fair, because you're saying like there's people on different levels, what I would say levels of consciousness, right? Even when you
Mm-hmm.
read the scripture, you see, when you look through, you can look at David, right, in Psalm, and he like Though he slay me, yet would I trust him. But then later on the text, I would trust the Lord at all times. Like it's just different. He high, then he had a place of low. So it's we can be on different levels, no judgment. But the thing I think I have to sit with to ask, just so somebody's out there who they're like, look, I'm here at a different level, not like lower as in like bad or anything like that, just different
right.
than what you guys are saying, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how do we go to that higher level, right? Because I think it's helpful to give somebody some tools who may be sitting there who wants to go higher, right? So I would just say if you're at a place, and not that I've always stay high, I don't want to say that each other. I think none of us are. We can go up and down, but when y'all said the area of focus, it reminds me of a passage that says, fix your thoughts on things that are pure, righteous, and a good report. Like, if we're fixing our thoughts on higher things, then that means we'll be able to manifest from those particular levels. I think if what we put in front of our eyes is fear, worry, doubt, shame, guilt, condemnation, sin, all that, if that's our life and everything goes back to that level, then that's the level that we'll stay at. So I would say to help us, like, let's start fixing and looking at situations and seeing, is there an empowerment way or a positive way to look at this? If it is a storm, could it possibly be that God's purpose is to send rain to actually send growth to you? Or do we look at the storm as something that's supposed to just take us out and to defeat us? That's my closing words.
I like that, Christian.
I like to say, as busy as the devil is, we must be busier to look for God, for that support, for that shield, for that guidance, for that direction. And like Christian was just saying about the storm, I believe that's really preparation for what's to come when we get through. Where there's rain, there's growth.
Froze. So Dennis or Mary, y'all, somebody else want to?
I'm just gonna piggyback on two things. The focus. When we focus, we come to a level of consciousness. When he was talking about the month of Ramadan, when they're fasting, that you believe that the enemy is on lockdown. Yes, the enemy may be on lockdown, but also our fasting brings us to another level of consciousness. It makes us aware of where we are doing. We're able to see it. So fast not that for more of God, because I learned through Christian. Now, what I was about to say is first, what I call him. I learned through Christian is that one thing about God is that once we become conscious of what we're doing, then we can do all things. So fasting does not make us know more of God, because God has already given us all that he was going to give us of him. It's already in us. When we fast, it makes us become aware of what God has really put in us. Then we begin to tap into it, access what is already there. So for the closing remarks, for me, as men matter, we have everything that it takes in us to be a God ordained, will driven by God man. It's in us, but we have to let flesh die. Glory to God. I'm about to preach now. We have to let our flesh die so that the Spirit of God can live through us, so that we can be the man that God called us to be. Hey, sometimes that means being humble and letting a woman, watch this, give us that logical side of what we think we already know.
Hey.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You had cut out. Go ahead.
You know better.
Your wife said, when you know better.
May, I heard it. I already told him. May he dropped the title. I told him.
I see.
We've been talking about sugar all night tonight, so we might as well just be what it is.
I think Mr. D Best, did he get Tay? Was he cut off or?
Yeah,
It froze.
I can't even tell. Okay, froze again. But May, so you go ahead.
I want to say thank you to all of you gentlemen for providing your time to help build the kingdom. Your words have been very powerful, and I'm sure that they will continue to hit us up throughout the weeks and the months to come. Like we said, there's most likely going to be a part 3, so we'll probably reach out again, seeing what's
Yeah.
happening with it. But thank you so much for helping get the word out there. It's truly an honor. An hour and a half is not enough time, as we all know, but it's been impactful. So I truly appreciate you just putting yourself forth, some of you being vulnerable with some of the things that you're saying, but also putting yourself into a spot where you're helping build the kingdom. So you'll be truly blessed in that. So I appreciate all of you.
That's man.
Father, in Jesus' name, touch his internet.
Yes, good Lord. But yeah, my closing, I want to read Ecclesiastes 4:9. It says, two people are better off than one, for they can help each other. If one falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone isn't real. And that right there is like they're always blessed. Like that's so. And Christian, you set it up. I was already going to do it, but you set it up because your closing remark says storm. So guys, right? Bam, can you see that right? So Christian, his beautiful wife Alicia, have a book called a new. They have several books, but their latest book is Water Walkers, and pretty much we can sum both of these segments up into, and the root and the key is knowing who you are, who God created you to be, what's inside of you, and walking into that thing, operating out of that. And so this is an awesome read, just all around. I'm going to post it on our page. It can be found on Amazon. If you like to listen to your books, they have a lovely recording narrated by them themselves, and that's big, y'all. Because I'm a audibler. I don't even know if that's a word. I made it up. I can do what I want. When I know one thing, right? When I purchase a book on Audible and I see that the author is the narrator, that like takes it to a whole nother level. So again, on Amazon, on Audible, awesome read. Again, like May said, we really appreciate y'all so much. This was a blessing. Be on standby because we'll all be back, good Lord willing. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Yeah, this was great. Y'all have a blessed, safe weekend. We love y'all. God loves you more. And yeah, be encouraged. Be encouraged, y'all.